Hey YouTube, Gold Hunter here. In this video, we're going to discuss how much face value would it cost if you paid in junk silver versus cash, the Canadian edition. So, in this situation, it would probably be because of hard times, right? Like, what if the dollar collapsed? Could it collapse? Well, yes, it could. It has before. All currencies eventually collapse. Now, what if the dollar collapses? What's going to happen? Well, it'll cause hyperinflation. And in the next slide, we'll discuss why owning precious metals is a wise choice. So, as in the previous slide, I was asking, could it happen? And yes, it could. It has happened to Argentina in 1989. The cost of goods rose by 5,000% when the Venezuelan bolivar collapsed, leading to hyperinflation. People used gold to buy food and other goods. All right. Now, you're saying, well, this is Argentina or Venezuela or whatever. That's correct. But remember what we said. All currencies over time have collapsed. And I don't think that's ever going to change. It might not happen in our lifetime, but it will happen. So what do we do about it? Well, we save precious metals and they will help us in times of need. And I'll show you by going forward. So how much face value would it cost if you paid in junk silver? Again, this is the Canadian edition. I've done an American edition. Please check it out. So for this, we're going to need to know how much is our junk silver. So in this video, I've only done the 80%. So it's from 1967, dollar, half dollar, quarter dollar, and dimes from 1967 and before, right? So technically before 1968. Now, technically, there's some 1967 that are 50%, not 80%, in dimes and quarters. But we're not going to use those. We're going to go with just the 80%. And same thing, in 1968, Canadian coinage also had 50% silver in that year for dimes and quarters. And we're not going to use that in this because 80% does make up the bulk of the junk silver in Canada. Now, one Canadian dollar at today's silver prices is worth $23.97 of silver. That's 18.664 grams of silver in one Canadian dollar. A half dollar is worth $11.98, containing 9.328 grams of silver, pure silver. A quarter dollar is $5.99, containing 4.664 grams of pure silver. And one Canadian dime between 1967 and before is $2.39, equaling 1.684 grams of silver. All right. Now, I don't know if I'll explain this too. So these are all, whoever figured out the weights for these did it right on, because say one 50-cent piece, like one half dollar and two quarters equal the exact same amount if you had $1. Same thing if you had 10 dimes. So they all have the same amount, like equal up to the dollar. All right, moving on to the next slide, and we're going to start getting into what you can buy, how much face value you need to buy certain items. Now, I've used all prices from Ontario. It's mostly all from Ottawa. I just picked a decent sized city for this. So one loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, and 4 liters of milk would cost on average $13.43 Canadian. That would equal out to 10.41 grams of silver. At time of the video, silver was $40.12 per troy ounce. It has dropped a bit since then, but it can go back up as well. It'll never stay the same, so we can never always be correct on this. So to to get 11 or 10.41 grams of silver, we can use $1.50 and $1. So equaling 60 cents face, you can buy one loaf of bread, a dozen eggs, and 4 liters of milk with 60 cents face value in junk silver. Now, you can't have a Canadian edition without maple syrup, right? So 1 liter maple syrup, on average, would cost you $16. This is the good stuff, not the cheap stuff. Now, so that equals out to 12.4 grams of silver. And you could get 1 liter of maple syrup for 70 cents face value in junk silver Canadian. You can get a bottle of whiskey for $33.95. Now that is 26.32 grams of silver. Now, you can buy that bottle of whiskey with $1.35 in Canadian junk silver. So $1, $1/4, and a dime. Again, it wouldn't be a Canadian edition without beer, right? Canadians love their beer. So for a case of 24 beer, you would be paying $45.95. That equals up to 35.6 grams of silver would cover the cost of that. And you would be able to use a dollar coin, a $half coin, a $quarter coin, and 2 dimes. So $1.95 Canadian in face value of junk silver would purchase you this case of beer. It's a lot cheaper than the $46 they'd want in actual cash. So, and again, if it's troubling times, we're probably going to need to buy some ammo, right? You never know, we're going to need protection and probably hunt food. So I found a box of 30-30 ammo, 20 box of 20, and it was $44.99. So that equals out to 34.88 grams of silver. You can buy this box of ammo with $1.95 in junk silver. So that would be $1 coin, $half, a $quarter, and 2 dimes would be enough to purchase that $45 box of ammo. Now, and again, you're probably thinking, well, who's going to take my silver coins at that price? Well, you're probably not going to find someone today to take it, right? Most stores, because they're just going to give you the $1.95 for it, so you're still going to be short by quite a bit. But what you would do is you would sell it first, right? You would need that box of ammo, and it's really easy to sell this. You go to any coin store, there's places like that, and you can sell this stuff. It'd be probably even better to do it on the private market, someone who's collecting silver or stacking, and they would purchase it from you at pretty close to spot, if not spot. So you would take it to someone and you would sell it to them and get your $1.95, right? And then you would go buy these. You wouldn't get your $1.95. You would sell your $1.95 to them for $45, right? Then you would go buy your box of bullets. Now I figure in the future, and this is the way a lot of people think, is people are going to barter with this stuff and they're just going to trade it straight up for it, right? Like your bigger Walmarts and stuff are not going to take it for that. But we're talking like hardware store, mom and pop shops, right? Like, some private businesses would be purchasing this from you. Now, if we're going to be hunting for food, we're going to need a knife to field dress our food, right? Gut, whether it be deer, bear, rabbit, moose. Well, I found a reasonable priced knife, and it wasn't the most expensive, wasn't the cheapest, but it was $69.97 at Walmart. And that would take 54.24 grams of silver to purchase said knife. So it would take you $2.95 of face value junk silver to equal that amount to purchase that knife. So we're going to need fuel for our car, right? And I took a Honda Civic. I figured out the capacity of the fuel tank. It's 47 liters. So at today's prices in Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, it is $75.20 to fill that tank from empty. That would be 58.29 grams of silver it would take to do that. And you can get 58.29 grams of silver. It would actually be more than that, but we'll always go over. Out of $3.20 in junk silver, 80% junk silver. Again, this would not be a Canadian edition without a hockey stick. You know, we're going to have downtime or whatever. We want to have a game of hockey, right? It's Canada's version. So I found a reasonable stick on a Canadian Tire. It was $149.99. And that would take you 116.27 grams of silver. And that would equal out to $6 coins and $1 dollar, right? Now, what good was that ammo if we don't have a rifle to put it through, right? And I found a 30-30 online. It was actually really hard to find a 30-30. They're very big in demand right now, right? So there's not many for sale. And it was $1,250. And that would be 968.99 grams of silver to purchase this rifle. And you can get 969.58 grams of silver out of $51 coins, 2 dimes, 1 half dollar, and $1 dollar. Now, if it's troubling times, would our phones even work? Who knows? But if you needed one, today's price, you'd be looking $1,450. And that's to buy it outright, no plan, none of that. So it would take you 1,124.02 grams of silver to purchase said phone. And this is about the same price for an Apple or a Samsung. And you would be able to purchase a phone with 60 $1 coins and $1 of Canadian 80% junk silver. Now, we will need a car. And since we already used the Honda Civic for the fuel tank, we're going to use it again for a car. It's going to get really good fuel mileage, so let's go with that. A brand new Honda Civic 2024 is $36,460. There's probably higher models, but that's the one we're going to use. And it would take you 28,263.57 grams of silver to purchase said car. So for $1,514.35 Canadian, 80% junk silver, you could purchase said car. And that's a pretty big difference, right? You're going to buy a brand new car for $1,500 about. Now you might be thinking, well, where am I going to get this stuff for $1,500? It's going to cost me more than that. You're correct. But there's coin roll hunting, right? So you buy it for face value at the bank, you take it home, you take your coins out, you pull out the silver, if there is any, and you put all the rest back in that's not silver, you take it back to the bank, get paid for it. And then you keep your silver ones at home and stack them up. Now, there's very few in our change now because of certain programs the Mint have been running they want to get all that silver back, right? They don't want us to have it. But then there's also, maybe you had it saved from 1967, 1968, right? And you just haven't spent it. You just had it saved up in jars or boxes or whatever. And so you paid face value for it then. You can also get in your change at the store. Every so often, you always look at your change when you leave a store, because there's times that some of these quarters and dimes and stuff get mixed in with our change. And or someone doesn't realize they're silver and they spend them, right? And then you get it back. So you want to save that because it's worth, that quarter's worth like almost $6, right? You don't want to, if you give it to someone at a store, they're going to take it for 25 cents. All right, moving on. So now we are going to need a house. And I found a 3-bedroom. It's near Ottawa. Okay. and it was $599,900. It would take 465,039 grams of silver to purchase this house, which would equal out to $24,000, $24,916, right? In Canadian 80% junk silver. And so that would be 24,916 $1 coins. Now you can do that differently. You could just make it, like 49, almost like 49,000 half dollars. It'd be a little less than that, but it'd be around that, right? Or you could have 30 some thousand half dollars and so many quarters, right? But like it would still equal out. All right. So, but you got to think, if you were able to save that all those years, or you were just hoarding them, say today you're in your 60s or 70s and you've been hoarding those since the 60s. Well, you can go out and buy yourself a $600,000 home with $25,000, right? Technically. Now, you would have to probably obviously sell those first and then take that money and go buy that house. So, but now that's if you were to do that today. We're talking if in the future times are tough and people are now bartering with this stuff, there is going to be people who will probably trade you straight up for silver, for goods or items, right? All right. I want to thank you for watching. And if you liked what you've seen, please subscribe. I'm going to do some more of these. I'm going to do one on gold soon, because like this stuff here, like this house, I probably would be using gold to buy this, or even the car, other than the silver. It's just this video is about junk silver, Canadian 80% junk silver. But if it wasn't, and I was actually in this situation where I needed to buy a home with precious metals, I would probably use the gold, right? All right. Again, if you liked, please subscribe. And Gold Hunter out. See you on the next one.